Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole. Welcome if you're new here. I'm new here as well, and I'd love your opinions on what we're doing today. So with my fact channel, we're going to be deep diving into the real stories behind the fairy tales and how horrific they were. So trigger warning, there's a lot of SA unaliving and I guess SH, I think that's the term, SH, so let me know if I'm right or wrong, but I love your opinions on these stories. So I just wanted to deep dive, I just wanted to make sure to do that trigger warning and any other thing that may be triggering as well. If it's not, if it gets, I don't know if it gets disturbing, which is not really disturbing, but it might be to other people. I would go ahead and shut this video off and go watch something happy. That's what I do if something disturbs me a little bit. But yeah, anyways, that's all I wanted to say about the trigger warning. Also, I'd love your comments below and get your opinions as well. Anyways, let's get to it. So number one is Cinderella. The Grimm brothers. So according to the original story, Cinderella cries under a hazel tree. She planted over her mother's grave, and a white dove comes to comfort her. During the ball, when her stepmother and stepsisters depart, it is not a fairy tale, but the white dove that drops the dress and shoes for her. The ball was a 3-night affair, so not just one night, 3 nights. The first night, Cinderella wears silk slippers, second is glass slippers, and the last night is gold slippers, and the gold slippers is what the prince finds. When he visits every maiden in town, Cinderella's eldest sister cuts off her toe, and then apparently somehow the prince didn't realize that she did that, and the dove had to inform the prince. He rushes back, and this time the second sister cuts off her heel to fit her foot in. Once again, it doesn't work, and the dove informed him what was going on. Of course, it says, we're wondering if he should even be king. That is a question. You know, it's just a story, but that would be a question I would have too. And then at the wedding, Cinderella's sisters try to win her over, but the doves fly down and peck both their eyes out, making them blind. So now they have less limbs and they're blind. And Cinderella and the prince continue to rule the kingdom and live happily ever after themselves. Again, not for the sisters or who had hurt themselves. And that's about that for that story. Number 2, Hansel and Gretel. This one's a little bit more disturbing, a little bit more gross in many ways. I'm not really a Hansel and Gretel lover. I never really liked their, I'm not saying I never really liked them, I never really watched them because I didn't have the what is the word, like the intriguingness, I guess, to watch it, if that makes sense. I don't know. Anyways, so according to the Grimm brothers' tale, Hansel and Gretel are the brother and sister pair whose stepmother decides to leave them in the forest when there is a famine. Her main purpose is that they get lost and the family has enough to eat. They overhear their stepmother and gather white pebbles that they strew to find their way back. The stepmom casts them out a second time, and this way they weren't so lucky. They keep roaming and reaching a witch's house made of gingerbread and cake only. So this part here is where it gets gruesome. The witch is a cannibal who eats young ones. Who crosses her way, she intends to eat Hansel and Gretel too. However, they outsmart her and burn unalive her through fire in an oven, and then it's just a child's tale full of gruesomeness, really. It says here, I just don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm sure you kind of get the picture of it, like unaliving certain people and stuff like that. That one would be the most disturbing one I found when I was like kind of skimming through, because I was but yeah, I'll save that to the end. Number 3 is Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. So this has 2 versions. So in the first version, there are 3 bachelor bears living together, and an old lady breaks into their home. She eats all their porridge and sits and breaks their chairs and sleeps in their beds. When the 3 bears arrive, they startle her awake, and she jumps out of the window to never be seen again. While the bears here are nice and hospitable, The old lady is a foul-mouthed, troublesome, interfering creature. Over the years, the old lady was replaced with a young girl, so this is the second version, who was called by many names till finally Goldilocks stuck around 20th century. The little girl was interfering and obnoxious and not at all sweet, as modern versions state. All the older versions have different endings to the tale, and some the bears eat either the kid or the old lady, and some she runs away a la the old lady, and some she is about to be eaten, but her mother rescues her at the last minute and she gets the thrashing of her life. It does teach you to stay away from bears and entering strangers' homes. I won't lie, that one did have a good meaning to it. So Sleeping Beauty, this one also can get a little disturbing for you guys, or not for you guys, sorry, for anyone's it could just get disturbing, I'll say that, because once again the story has two versions. In the first version, everything is nice and happy and the princess wakes up when the prince kisses her, but that's not the end. This prince has an ogre for a mother. Now he knows his mother will never accept the princess, and he carries on his affair in secret. The princess was born him a son and a daughter. When the time for the prince to ascend the throne arrives, he brings his family to the castle. The ogre mother banishes the princess and the children to the forest and orders the cook to cook them and serve them to her as luncheon. On day 1, the cook replaces the body with a lamb. The girl is replaced by the goat meat on day 2. The ogre never realizes the difference on day 3. The princess, who is heartbroken over her children's death, offers to slit her throat. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Offers to, hurt her throat. But the cook reunites her with her children and serves the ogre red deer or hind cooked in sauce Robert. The ogre soon finds out she's been tricked and prepares a tub filled with vipers and foul creatures. However, before she can punish the cook, the princess and the children, the prince arrives. No one knows why he disappeared for 3 whole days. That's what I was curious about too. And the ogre throws herself in the tub and is consumed. I would like to know where their supposedly handsome prince was. You gotta stick up for your women. You do. If this wasn't gory enough, so version 2, it is not a prince but an already married king that visits the sleeping princess. He finds her alive and unconscious, and well, even in that state somehow, makes him excited, and he essays her, and leaves. By the king, she is now pregnant and delivers twins while sleeping. Her little son sucks on her finger, and finally she awakens as he sucks the spindle's poison out. She awakens and is confused on seeing her two children. She begins to care for them. One day, the curious king is in the mood for some more, and visits the princess. She's awake though, and like a true, I don't know what this word says, but I guess a true, I don't know. But she forgives the king and accepts him. He stays for a few days and then goes back to his kingdom. His wife, however, suspects something amiss and realizes the king has been happily sleeping around. Infuriated, she asks Sleeping Beauty's children to be brought to the castle and be cooked. Oh god. However, the cook saves the day and hides the kids. She then orders Sleeping Beauty be brought herself and unalive by fire. He saves Sleeping Beauty and burns the queen instead. Then they then marry and live happily ever after, at least till the king does that again once more. So I heard that one as well. That one, I don't like that one. That one's just as gross as Hansel and Gretel to me. How can you be so forgiving? I don't know, but I get it's just a fairy tale at the same time, but I don't know if anyone else has an opinion, because I don't. I just think that's gross, and I think he should have paid for it. Anyways, since that was the backstory, but I like the PG story. It's a lot cuter, a lot cleaner, and yeah, it's just I like to keep these ones modernized, because I think these stories kind of ruin what the stories we grew up were. Of course, these are the old stories, so we gotta honor that as well. So this one here is The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid is, on this article, it says probably the saddest of the lot. The Little Mermaid lives in an underwater kingdom with her father, grandmother, and sisters. Every year, post their 15th birthday, the sisters can take turns once a year to visit the surface and see the world outside. Once Little Mermaid's turn comes, she rises to the surface and witnesses a shipwreck. She saves the prince from drowning and promptly falls in love with him. The prince, however, is unconscious, and when the Little Mermaid leaves him ashore on the steps of a temple, a young girl comes out from the temple, and the prince thinks it is this girl who saves him. The Little Mermaid is sad but goes back to sea. She then visits the mermaid, who agrees to give her a potion which will change her trail to feet. However, she must part with her tongue. She will be the best dancer in the world, but her feet will as if they are being pricked by glass shards every minute, and as if her toes are bleeding. Also, she will get a human soul only if the prince loves her and marries her. Otherwise, she will turn to sea foam. The Little Mermaid agrees. That's creepy. Oh, to have your feet feel that way, pricked by glass shards every minute, and if her toes are bleeding, I'll feel like her toes are bleeding, I'd be like, it's not worth it. Just keep me under sea, I'll be fine, kind of thing. Also, she's 15. I didn't realize that when I first skimmed through it. She is 15 years old. Too young to be married to anyone. That's the thing about these princesses. They're still in their teens. Why are we looking for love? We should be looking for education. Anyways, I guess just I get it's just a fairy tale. Anyways, so this here, she reaches the shore and drinks the potion. She now has 2 feet. She is found by the prince, and he is mesmerized by her beauty. They become fast friends, and she accompanies him everywhere and dances for him. One day the king announces that he arranged for the prince to marry a princess from the neighboring kingdom. The prince then reveals to the Little Mermaid that he loves the girl from the temple, as he thinks she saved him. By a twist of fate, the princess he is destined to marry is the same girl. She was visiting the temple that day when she saw the prince. Then they got married, and the Little Mermaid is heartbroken. When she is about to turn into sea foam, her sisters come to her with a dagger. They tell her she must stab the prince and let his blood flow over her feet. She will then get back her tail and become a mermaid again. She goes to kill the prince but cannot, as she truly loves him. Instead, she falls into the sea and dissolves not into sea foam but becomes one with the atmosphere as a reward for her true love. If she serves humanity for another 300 years, she will rise to higher realms, so much her true love. That sucks. It's just a show. Anyways, number 6. Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. The evil queen, who is jealous of Snow White's beauty, orders a huntsman to take her to the woods and to unalive her. This one I think I've heard as well. She orders him to return with her lungs and liver so that she can relish it. Instead, the huntsman spares Snow White and brings the queen the lung and the liver of a boar. Snow White, meanwhile, reaches the home of the dwarfs, and they let her stay if she cooks and cleans and keeps the house for them. The next day, the queen discovers the huntsman's deceit, as the mirror still proclaims Snow White the fairest. The queen visits the home of the dwarfs disguised as tries to sell Snow White a lace bodice. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. She ties the laces too tight that Snow White faints. The queen thinks she's dead and departs. The dwarfs come and revive her. The story repeats the second day when the queen uses a poisoned lace comb to comb her hair, but again she is saved by the dwarfs. The queen then gives Snow White the poison laced apple. As soon as she bites the apple, she falls into a stupor. The dwarfs, thinking her to be dead, place her in a glass coffin. Soon a prince... Oh, what happened? Oh, I lost it. Okay, let's see. Soon the prince passes by and is enchanted by her. He orders his servants to take the glass coffin away, and the dwarves agree. When they are carrying the coffin, they stumble on some roots. The coffin falls, and the piece of apple in Snow White's throat is dislodged, and she wakes up. The prince is delighted, and they get ready for marriage. The evil queen is invited too, since she does not know it is Snow White. The prince is getting married too. She visits them. Snow White reveals all the evil done by her. As punishment of her crimes, glowing hot iron shoes are brought before her, and she is ordered to wear them and dance till she drops unalived, while torture rules. So that one, definitely heard of. It's just, to me, it's so funny, like, reading these, you wake up to a prince from kissing you or from dislodging something from your throat, and then all of a sudden you're marrying him. Interesting. Anyways, number 7, Rapunzel. When Rapunzel is stuck in the tower, the prince visits her at night and gives her a small silk handkerchief each night, which she can sew into a long rope ladder. They also have certain relations, and Rapunzel is pregnant. So you know those relations. Okay. The Wicked Witch discovers her secret when she accidentally asks the witch why her dress suddenly feels tight around the middle. In anger, she cuts off Rapunzel's hair and casts her off into the wilderness. Meanwhile, when the prince comes to visit her that night, the witch hauls him up using the severed hair. He is shocked to see the witch and jumps out of the window. The thorn below pricked his eyes and he goes blind. He roams the wasteland and finally comes upon Rapunzel, who is the mother of his children. They reunite. When he cries, his eyes are automatically healed. Interesting. Right. Okay. Little Red Riding Hood. So we're getting to the home stretch. Just 2 more and then that's it. So Little Red Riding Hood, after the wolf eats the grandmother, he leaves some of her meat and blood that he cooks and offers to Little Red Riding Hood. So basically she eats her own grandmother. She is then ordered by the wolf to throw her clothes in the fire and come and lie beside him. When Little Red Riding Hood realizes it is the wolf and that he will eat her, she makes an excuse and says she needs to go and go number 2. The wolf ties a string to her leg so she cannot escape. The Little Red Riding Hood reties the string to an object and escapes. Hey, don't be scandalized. It's a happy ending after all, except she basically ate her own grandmother. That one, I thought I heard something else about that one too. I just can't remember. I thought it was Little Red Riding Hood was actually the bad guy too, but I guess it does kind of come off that way. Anyways, I guess she had no choice but to. Anyways, so number 9, the last one, the Frog Prince. Again, I never really watched this one. In most versions, the frog is kissed by the princess and voila, he turns into a prince. However, in earlier versions, the princess throws the frog against a wall in disgust and beats him up until he transforms. Oh. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. So that was small for the frog one. Anyways, those are some of it wasn't so bad, some of it was pretty gory, kind of gross. If you want to read these for yourselves, I'll leave the link below in the comments or in the description, and you could go ahead and read them. I feel like there's more than just these ones too. I feel like there was excuse me, oh my god. After I talk a lot, I kind of get like gassy or bubbly. I don't know how to explain that, but yeah. But yeah, that's basically it. So let me know your opinion down below. I'd love to hear more about it. And that is it for me for right now. I have more to come. I'm excited about this one today. And yeah, so let's just chat for a minute here. So I want to hear your opinions below before we chat about other things. So I wanted to touch on something that I think would be fun to touch on, kind of thing, and that's personal development. Because like I said, I want to bring value into one channel. but I also want to add something fun. So I want to keep this positive. I also want to keep this like horror, creepy, but positive at the same time. Like these fairy tales or things like not like little abandoned places not to go to, but then fun facts or weird facts or hilarious facts. But I also want to talk about mental health a little bit. I'm not licensed. I'm not a licensed person in any sort of way, but like therapist. But maybe personal growth or our journeys and what we're doing and what we're going through as human beings. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. I won't start today. I'll start next video. Anyways, you guys have a great night. Go check out my other videos. So it's one is about my dog, the other one's about my crafts. The crafts I'm still kind of working on to get better. Same as my dog, she's just a delight to be around. Anyways, you guys have a great night. Keep smiling, keep shining. We'll chat soon. Bye now. And